Hello! It says I'm live, but there's always a bit of a delay here. But if we are live, welcome to the JeepSolid Garage. So we're continuing with this 4-liter engine rebuild where I'm rebuilding it with you guys. So if you're here live with us tonight, 7:30s, most Fridays, 7:30 Pacific time, say something, say hi. It's always good to hear from you guys. I've got regular people that show up. It's always great to hear from you guys. I have not touched this thing since I left it. I'm trying a little bit of a different camera setup. I should get on screen here. I'm trying a little bit of a different camera setup to where I call it my close camera and my far camera. There we go. Yeah, I need to be more over here, huh? Like over here. Hello, I'm off the camera. So I have like a 2-camera setup going. Let me know if you guys like this setup better. Where the far camera kind of gets a little bit of everything, but then the close camera for like more detailed stuff, what I'm working on. But like I said, I haven't touched this since we left it last. Last thing we did, I think, was take the lifters out. Those were sitting over here. I just got them out of the way, and this has been sitting ever since. Today, we're pulling the crankshaft, the pistons, get all the bearing caps off here. So if you're here now, looks like, yep, Deluxe Start is back. Space Goat. Hey, Space Goat, that's awesome. Hola! KB6. KB6, hello. Love the hat, thank you. This hat is just for this series. I don't normally wear a hat like this. But let's get started. As we're going along, because I can't see the chat while I'm working on this. I don't know, I need like a monitor over here so I can see the chat like in real time. But I'll flip around and look at the chat every now and then. First thing I'm going to do, we're going to be taking bearing caps off the rod bearings, right? So it's a 6-cylinder engine. We got 6 rod bearings. The bearing caps need to go back in the exact same spot. So put one little dot there. Bearing piston number 1. My camera's in the way here a little bit. Put 2 little dots over here. Bearing cap 2. Let me flip this around. How are you guys doing this evening? Say hello. Abby is here. Hey, Abby, how you doing? Hope you guys are having a good Friday. It's been a busy week for me. I've had lots going on, family in town, and then I go to work tomorrow. All stinking day. So, yeah, it's been a busy Friday. So we're keeping these bearing caps in order. So I'm just marking these like you would mark a die. So 1, 2, 3. So just little dots on these to keep them all in order. And I'm doing it at the top end here so I know which direction they go. 2, 3. I don't have, you can purchase like a die punch that actually has like letters on it or numbers on it. So you can keep track. Let's see, there's number 4, so we gotta do 5, and I'm just flipping this around while who else is here? Spartan is here. Hey Spartan, how you doing? We're just getting started. I'm just marking bearing caps here on the rods so I can get them back in the exact same spot. I wonder if you guys can see that. Can you guys see those marks I'm making? I don't know if this camera is actually good enough to pick that up. Yeah, you guys can see that. So that's bearing 5 on the... So I have the head of this down at the machine shop. In one of the previous episodes, we took the head off, and they are magnafluxing it, checking it for cracks, making sure it's a good head, and then they're actually doing a little bit of valve work for me. I've got new valves to put on it. They're hot tanking it because I've learned that's smart to have the shop do it. There we go, 6 on that one. So now we've got all these caps in order marked. On the, yeah, I wonder if you guys can see that. Can you guys see like a number 5 right there? And a number 4. It's gonna be upside down for you, number 4 right there. So kind of moving my camera around. Sorry if I'm making you seasick here. So the bearing caps over the crank journals, they're already marked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. and there's 7 of them. The bearing caps over the rods are not marked, so that's why I went ahead and marked them. And you want to get all the bearing caps back in the correct order. I can take off my goofy little ear muffs there, so I wear those because I want to be able to hear when I get older. Who else are we missing here? GT's here. Hey, how's it going? Just watching while I rebuild the front. Oh yeah, you were doing the Dana 44. Installing ball joints and lower control bushings tonight. Finally finished welding the truss and painting. That's awesome. So a front Dana 44. Yeah, good grief. My YJ on the front end has a Dana 30, and I know I need to do an upgrade on it, but honestly, I've always said, like, I'll just run it until I break it. Then once it breaks, then I'll look into upgrading it. So, but right now it's been a project vehicle for so long, I haven't put it through anything too tough. Just a little bit of playing here and there. Let's get these bearing caps off these pistons. So this is what? This is a 1/2 inch. I could use my impact driver, but it's so loud. We're gonna break these loose and then get our pistons out. Now these, oh, I thought this one was loose already. I'm like, what? It's just my cheap wrench here. I don't know why I'm using this old cheap one. It's a 1/2 inch wrench, but it is, I don't know, I got it from a garage sale or something. I don't know. And see, it skips every now and then. I should have got my Good Craftsman one, but I've got this in my hand already. Yeah, see how it slips right there? Get these bearing caps off, pull these pistons out, and get this crank out of here. I'm going to be reusing the same crank. New bearings on all of it. Shouldn't be anything wrong with the crank. I did replace the crank on my Project Kiwi. He has a new crank because I made a stroker out of him. It's a little chilly out in the shop, so I got my hot tea. James is here. How's it going, James? Oh, you little riches. From Kenya. Are you from Kenya? Wow. Walking as a mechanic also. That is awesome. Welcome. How many? This is my, oh, this is Streamlabs. I'm going to hop over to YouTube here. Concurrent viewers, we're up to 17. Oh, this is my 1/2 inch. I need my 1/2 inch up here. 7/16, 1/2 inch. Yeah, that'll work. Now, last time, getting these little bearing caps off of the rods can be a little bit of a pain. Because they won't, yeah, see how they won't just pop up. I could probably just tap it with my hammer. So I've tried my rubber mallet, but it doesn't ever, oh, maybe it's enough. There we go. Rubber mallet to the rescue. How is our close camera? Oh, it's looking good. So there's the bearing. It actually feels pretty smooth. I mean, no major gouges in it. Here's a little bit of wear. Scratch it with my fingernail. Yeah, and it's not terrible. This engine wasn't bad. There's the little oiling hole. You guys see that? Yeah. Little oiling hole for the journal. And now this cap. So yeah, this comes off. Here's our bearing on the inside. And this is just the cap. Only fits in one way. And so I put my little mark. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a little dot there. So I know it goes on like that. You got to make sure you get these on the correct way. Don't want to mess that up. We got that out of the way. Let's, hands are getting all gross here, but that's okay. let's get this piston out of the way and we'll just put this bearing cap back on. Who else we got here? Uh-oh, AVG is saying something. You're at risk of being attacked. AVG is a good antivirus thing I have on my computer here, but it's annoying how it pops up with warnings all the time. Well, not all the time, but I don't know if I want to pop this. Whoa, it slid down farther than I was expecting. I didn't think it was just going to pop out that easy. Normally, if you're worried about the cylinder walls, I'm going to have this bored out and rehoned and everything. So I'm not worried about scratching the inside of the cylinder, right? Let me just pop this piston out and then talk instead of trying to do two things at once. Get out there. It slid down and I was like afraid it was falling out. So when you drop your pistons out, if you're not boring out the cylinders, so I'm going to bore, AVG pop back up here. Yes, I know, 30-day free trial, but then 30 days is gone before you know it, and then it's not free anymore. So you have like these, I've got my new camera set up, but I'm not sure which camera to look at. So as you're popping this out down the cylinder, I mean, there's a lot of sharp, really sharp edges here, and it can scratch the inside of your cylinder. So if you're not, I'm boring mine out, so I'm not worried about it at all because it's going to take off, 30 thousandths of an inch. So it's going to take off the surface and then hone it and all that. If you're just getting it rehoned, then it's probably not a big deal either, but you don't want a big gouge in it. So when you're dropping these out, just be careful. I'm not super worried about it. I'm not going to be worried about it on this video because I'm getting it bored and honed. Yeah, piston. It's got a little bit of carbon, normal carbon buildup on the top. Rings, yeah, they look fine. Oiling ring, yeah, a little bit of wear. Might have been a little floppy in there. But piston number 1. So I'm going to take my bearing cap. Now, which way was this? Because you want to get it on the same direction. And now I got to look at the bottom because these are D-shaped pistons. So they go a certain way, and I forget which side it is, so I'm going to peek at the bottom. And it goes like that. There we go. So the D is that way. So it's on that side. Wait, it's upside down. Yes, like that. So it's like that. So the bearing cap goes like this. And this is piston number 1. And I have new pistons from Engine Tech. And you can see the banner hanging back there in the background. This video series is sponsored by Engine Tech. So I'm using their parts. I need to set this somewhere because this is all gross. Let me get my valve cover out of the way. All my parts over here from my rebuild. So I have new pistons, gaskets, bearings, lifters, all of that from Engine Tech. I've used their parts on quite a few other rebuilds, been super happy, never had an issue with them. So their website is linked in the description below and in a lot of my other videos because I've used them for quite a bit of stuff. So that's piston number 1. The other thing you want to watch for is sometimes one of the bearings will actually just like stay on the journal of whatever you're taking off. Like I popped the piston out, sometimes it'll just stay on the bottom there. Let's see. Boy, do I miss my XJs. What year? Somebody's talking about an XJ and I missed it. I've got an XJ, 97. Old Soli. Well, Sasha's Soli, not mine. Let's get piston number 2 out of here. If it falls out, honestly, I don't really care that much. I'm not too worried about it because we're redoing all this. Like, why does 1/2 inch seem so big on this? Did I? Oh, I did take this off, dummy. 3/4. I got to spin the crank some more. There we go. Spin this crank around. Piston's coming with it. I thought it might just come off, but it didn't. And these little caps, these guys can be boogers. There we go. Cap number 2. And this one, yeah, so the bearing did not come with it. So that's what I was saying, watch out for. I'll get it in a second. Goes that way. Where's my stick? My stick, last time it just kind of fell a little faster than I was expecting. There we go. Piston number 2. And it came out like that. Yep. Just keeping everything in order. So kind of reassembling it as we're going here. I'm going to reuse these same rods. I don't need to, this does not need new rods. Let me grab my bearing there. Just throw it in here for fun. Although we're going to be using new bearings on all this. Piston number 2. Let's get number 3. These things are just going to get oily. 3 and 4. Let's move you guys over a little bit. You guys that are regulars, you'll have to let me know if you like this different camera setup better, to where you can kind of see all of me working on it, but then also like a close-up view of working on it. If you like that setup, let me know. Like, leave a comment. Watching from California, hey, awesome. So 7:30 is a good time. East Coast, what, you're 9:30? KT fam, hi, awesome Space Ghost. Thank you for having California Life. God's power in another Saturday morning. Any tips or recommendations for roller tip rockers? Maybe one of the other guys can. I don't. I've always used just our standard OEM rockers. I've upgraded springs and stuff, but not the rockers themselves. So I don't have a lot of experience with that. And another bearing did not come out with it. Let's push piston number 3 out here. I guess the other thing to worry about is you don't want to scratch the journals on the crank, right? So be careful of that as you're pushing this down. That's why I'm using a wooden dowel, right? So there's just a little bit of carbon ring on the top. Well, it's upside down, but a little carbon ring on the top of the cylinder there. That the piston will fall down nicely until it hits that ring, and then it stops. It's like, yeah, you got too much carbon buildup here. So the plan for this engine is to go into solely my 97 XJ. Because my 94 YJ, old Kiwi right behind us, he's got a new engine in it. And Tootsie's coming over to say hi. Hey, Tootsie. What do you want? Hi. Yeah, I'm doing a live stream. I don't know if you guys can see little Tootsie there. Number 4. I think I like this 2-camera setup. Don't know if you guys do though. sometimes I'll actually go and kind of watch these videos back. Oh, I left my, yeah, see? There's a bearing. You forgot a bearing, Dale. Not that, I mean, these are trash. I'm getting new bearings. Just throw it on top there. That's funny. Like I tell you guys, like, be sure, you know, be careful that you don't miss the, and then I miss it. So that one goes like that. Get my little pounding stick here. Make sure we don't scrape up our crank. And then we get up against the carbon. There we go, number 4. Let's see, oh, got a family chat. Hey David, you're probably watching, right? Camera gear setup works for me, thanks. Tootsie, the official JeepSolid mascot, she is. Yep, little Tootsie, she is a good cat. Honestly, I think she thinks she's part dog. She's like, she'll come when we call her kind of thing. Like, go in the backyard and call her and she'll come over. Hey, come here. Say hi to the viewers. Do you want oil all over you? My hands are oily. We'll throw you up on your bed. There you go. I think they can see that. Oh yeah, they can. Totally. Where am I at? I got those bearings out, all of them. Yes, number 4 is done. Let's do number 5. Move you guys over a little bit. So the fun part of this build is kind of going through this process with you guys, where can follow along through the whole thing. And like, I feel like I got something on my back. A little spider crawling on me. Going through this build with you guys, so you can see it's really not that hard. It can be so intimidating working on these things. Come on, there you go. Number 5, the bearing came with this one. That's the fun part. Like, honestly, I'm covering everything that I'm doing. Like I said, I hadn't, when I left off last, that's just one of the bearings fell. When I left off last, really hadn't done anything since, like, I shut down the cameras, turned off the computer, just left everything, maybe cleaned up a little bit, but this is all the greasy part, taking it apart, disassembly. When we start reassembly, that's when everything's nice and clean. Of course, we are going to use assembly lube, but it's precise. It's not just oil all over the place, kind of like this one. Do I have 2 bearings inside of this? I do. I am keeping the bearings with them, though, just in case I want to look back at one of the bearings, be like, oh, what was going on with cylinder 4? Like, there's scratches all over the journal on the crank. So the crank turns over so easy now. It's amazing how much you start taking these things apart, how much easier. And by habit, I'm still using the wrench. I don't even need the wrench to turn it over anymore. Honestly, that's just by habit, because I'm used to having, you know, when you got lifters and everything else, it just makes it super hard. But now, look how easy the crank turns over. That cap is just on there. There we go. The bearing is still there, but whatever. Got all new bearings from Engine Tech. Where's my tapper stick? There it is. And piston number 6. And bearing cap number 6. I'm going to have to wash this sleeve of this shirt when I'm done. We're getting a little oily. James, I like that our technician is very curious about rebuilding engine. I like that our technician... Me? Huh. Yeah. It's very curious about rebuilding engine. Yeah, I'm curious. Current concurrent viewers, we're at 20, 19. So we get about 20, 25 concurrent viewers at times. Then people go back and watch it again later. Did I get all the bearings? I did. So the journals, I mean, they've got oil on them. The journals for the rods, I mean, they look okay. I don't see like any horrible gouges. I think Tootsie wants to be fed. She's running around meowing. Meow. And yeah, I'm using just a rag. You know, I'm not worried about, because this is all going to get cleaned really good. If this was like final assembly, we'd want to be, you know, using lint-free rags and all that. But right now, we're just at the gross disassembly stage. So we are done with the 1/2 inch. Hi, you're replacing the connecting rods too. No, I'm not, Henry. I'm using the same rods. I think they're in good shape. There's nothing wrong with them. Rods can be expensive, so, well, any automotive parts can be expensive when you start replacing things. I am not replacing the rods. Let's see. Is this... It's a 13/16. That fits really good. I think for... Yeah, we'll see how easy these break loose. Yeah, I'll just grab my little breaker bar here. And we'll get ready to take the crank off here. So, like I said, these caps on top of the bearing caps for the crank itself, they're all labeled. And so when I did the rod bearings, I marked them, and I marked them at the top. So I kind of stand on this side because these are labeled this way, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll just remember this is the side I rebuilt it from. And these caps I labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the top as well. See if I can break these loose. There we go. Oops, sorry, hit the camera. Hit you guys there, sorry. Didn't mean to. Just gonna go down the line and break these loose a little bit. Boy, they're definitely tight. Ah. Ah. I do have an impact driver, which I could just zip these out real quick. But it's so loud. And I'm trying to use the camera and audio. Keeping all these in order, and our rear main bearing cap. People hear about rear main oil seal leaks. Well, you guys are in luck. We'll take a look at that in just a second. 13/16. Do I have a 3/8? I do. All right. Let's see if this is enough. Well, that is just full of oil. Let's get this cap off here. So keeping the bolts in the same order as well. There we go. The bearing is still in there. Looks like it has a little groove in it. But or does it? Yeah, it kind of looks like I see a little bit of a groove right there. I can't really feel it with my fingernail at all. This cap is just right where it... Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, there's a little roughness right there. I wonder if something got in there. The journal here looks okay, but the bearing is scratched up a bit. You can have the machine shop polish these. I wouldn't attempt that myself, but the machine shop can certainly polish your journals on your crank. So other thing, can you guys see that? No, you can't really see that. Over here, I got my little egg crate set up to keep all my bearings and everything in order. All right, let's get these other caps out of the way. Get this crank out of here. Yeah, that was interesting. See, this one looks better. No issues with this one at all. Boy, these stink. That is a very special smell when you start getting into burnt oil that's been heated up many times under these bolts. What else we got on here? Hi, you're replacing the connecting rods. That was Henry. There we go. Oh yeah, this one is a special bearing, number 3. So thrust bearing, so it's got like smooth surface on the side. It's a little different shaped than these other ones, so that, I hope you guys can see that good. So for lateral movement, or would that be horizontal movement of the crank, kind of gives us something to ride on there. So that's the thrust bearing cap number 3. Keep that guy there. Number 4, let's move you guys down. Bearing cap looks good. That journal looks great. Number 4. Oh, you guys tipped up a little bit higher. Number 5. Yeah, these all look great. I mean, they'll all be replaced. These bearings come out, right? This is just the cap. That's the bearing. Fits in there one way. Easy peasy. It's hard to mess up. Keeping the bolts in the same spot. Keeping track of all the bearings real close. And number 6 down here. Number 6. Yeah, that one's got like a little mark on it too. But this journal, yeah, I mean, feels perfectly smooth. I mean, I can see a little bit of varnish on there, like it, and you can see on this bearing, yeah, a little rough spot in the bearing. You guys can kind of see that. The finger just kind of barely catches it. The journal, though, feels fine. So just the cap, or I'm not the cap, the bearing. Journal number 6. See, it fits just perfect. It's my little egg crate system I got over here. Hopefully you guys can see that. All of them lined up nice and neat. Let's come back over to number 7. Rear main oil seal is under this guy. So when you get a rear main oil seal down the backside of your oil pan, this is where it's coming from. You can replace just this. You can replace just the rear main oil seal. I've actually got a video on doing that. It's one of my first videos. No, wait, my first video was axle seal, I believe. One of the very first ones. This one sometimes has a little bit of RT valve. Nope, not this one. It's coming off nice and easy. There we go. There's our rear main oil seal right there. So the bearing cap. This one actually looks and feels pretty good. So here's the bottom half of the rear main oil seal. And then the top half, let me set this down. Yeah. Bearing cap number 7. It's just a little bit different looking. Back of the oil pan sits right down in there. Or the oil pan gasket. I don't have a pointer. Here's a pointer. And then the other side of the rear main oil seal on this one is right there. And you can kind of take if you're doing this with it in the vehicle, just a rear main oil seal. Yeah, you guys can see. I keep peeking up. When I say that, I keep peeking up at my monitor behind me. Yeah, you take like a little punch and put it right here, and then drive this seal down a little bit and grab needle nose and pull it out this side and put a new one in. New bearing cap. I've got a whole video on that on my channel. But that is everything to free up this crank. Let me flip over to Streamlabs. There we go. So I can see instant. Get this camera moving. There we go. There we go. Now that is everything. Crank should be free. Crank should be free. Crank. There we go. Crank is heavy. There we go. It's just kind of suctioned in there a little bit. Do I even want to take crank out though? Yep, crank's coming out. It's getting set over here. Get my engine tech parts out of the way. Yeah, that's a fine place for it for now. There we go. Now we've got bearings in the bottom here. I mean, yeah, I'll just pull those out. Those are just trash. I don't need those. Little oiling holes in each one. So when you go, and we'll cover all this when we're putting it back together. These little oiling holes you guys can see. These bearings just come on out. These guys are all going in the trash. I wonder if I'll keep these in order. I am right now, I'm just putting these with the pistons. Don't need to keep them in order because they're going in trash. I got brand new ones, but if I want to look closer at them, I just wanted to have them. Bearing number 3 there can be a pain. It's that thrust bearing, that special one. Let me pop him out of there real quick. See if this will do it. Yeah, easy peasy. Bearing number 3. I wish you guys could smell this kind of burnt oil smell. So wonderful. 5, 6. And 7 down here at the end. And you know what I'm going to pull? Because we got the crank out, you can see, so if you're, like I was talking about doing the rear main oil seal with it in the vehicle. Sorry, I'm moving you guys. This is the top side of the, because the engine's upside down. So the top side of the rear main oil seal. And this one, yeah, I mean, there's not much lip left on there. It's pretty, not very pliable. It's just kind of dried and needs to be replaced. I'm trying to think if I had a rear main oil seal leak on this one. Might have had a little bit of a leak. I'm using seriously using a punch in my hand to grab this. What is wrong with you? There we go. But that's the concept. So you punch it down. If the crank was still in there, it's easier now that the crank's out. You do like that, and then you grab needle nose, and you're very careful not to scratch your journal or anything that you're dealing with around here. And then it just kind of slips around the crank. And you slide your new one in. But that's your rear main oil seal. I need to get a gasket set from Engine Tech still. So I need to email them about that. So next on the engine, let's see. Hey, JeepSolid, you have used comp cams for the 4.0, and here's the part number for that cam. Alrighty, thank you, Matthew. Family's messaging me. Hey, are you replacing the connecting rods too? Henry, no, I am not. Is that an old comment or is that a new one? Or am I just rereading old comments? I thought we already asked that. Yeah. So that must be an old comment. Nope, same connecting rods. But yeah, teardown actually goes pretty quick. What time are we at? 8:13. So that's everything on the bottom side. I hope you guys like that. I kind of like this camera view. I'm gonna kind of go back and I'll rewatch a little bit of this just to see from your guys' perspective, but I think I like it. I'm gonna sip of my hot tea. Have to have hot tea, can't have hot coffee because I got to get up early and go to work. Don't know how much caffeine really affects me, but we'll see. On the bottom end, yeah, everything is done. Nothing else to do there. Let's just take a little flip around here. This side, passenger side, everything is off. Looks good to go. Top end, bunch of nasty gasket material still on here, but yeah, that's what hot tanking is for. And then this side, we've got all those freeze plugs, expansion plugs, whatever you want to call them, plugs. What's the other name? There's 3 names for them, isn't there? Oh, core plugs. Freeze plugs, expansion plugs, core plugs. Cool. There we are. That is this episode. So thank you guys, all my regular followers. I really appreciate you guys and everybody else that tuned in every Friday, or most every Friday, 7:30. Be sure to tune in and we'll continue on this rebuild. I think next week will be like freeze plugs, and we might talk about a few, or expansion plugs. We might talk about a few other things. I got to get the head back from the machine shop, and I'll show you guys the work they've done on that. I'm gonna have them hot tank this and clean it all up and just get rid of all this nasty goo. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate you, and I'll catch you next week. Have a good one.